A few weeks ago, I posted a review of the apparently all-new-ish Mazda CX-5, or was that facelift? Exactly. According to one of my viewers, my fellow car reviewer once said that if the doors from the previous generation fit the current generation, then it's not the new generation. Sounds legit? Drop me a comment below, and while you're at it, why not subscribe, like, and do all the stuff, right? By the way, this is the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross PHEV. It's a facelift, but with a new tailgate. The Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross debuted in late 2017 is a compact crossover which slots between the ASX and the Outlander. Initially, the car was available with a 1.5-litre turbo and a 2.2-litre diesel, but as part of the facelift, those two engines were replaced with a plug-in hybrid powertrain, at least here in Europe. Plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, or a PHEV, is a car that can be powered by electricity from a home socket, but once it runs out of electrons, an internal combustion engine is there to help you out. The car is powered mainly by electric motors. The petrol engine can power the front wheels, but it does so very rarely. Its main task is to generate energy to recharge the traction battery. Now, depending on the mode, the battery level can be maintained, or the traction battery can even be recharged, for example, to drive through a zero-emission zone later on. Now, beside the engine charging, there is also regenerative braking. You can adjust the level with paddle shifters next to the steering wheel, but it's hardly one-pedal driving as we know it from EVs. Charging from a regular home socket, a 230-volt socket, takes about 7 hours, but Mitsubishi is one of the few car makers to offer fast charging in a PHEV. If you find a CHAdeMO plug, it takes about half an hour to get the car up to 80% battery capacity. Mitsubishi claims the range in electric mode is around 50 kilometers. This would mean that this compact crossover uses as much energy as an electric BMW i4 at 140 kilometers per hour. Spoiler alert, it uses even more energy. Now, I'm reviewing this car in early spring, so we had anything from positive +10 degrees Celsius to negative 2 degrees and snow. Now, on the warmer end of the scale, about 40 kilometers range is realistic, but when temperatures dropped around zero, 20 kilometers is all you're getting. And never mind the fact that in low temperatures, the petrol engine kicks in more often to keep itself warm. It's normal. But on a snowy day, the petrol engine was on most of the time, and energy from the batteries still disappeared very fast. Once the traction battery is depleted, the car goes into hybrid mode, where the petrol engine puts energy back into the traction battery to power the electric motors, and only at higher speeds and under heavy load, the petrol engine starts powering the front wheels. Speaking of heavy load, the Eclipse Cross PHEV can tow up to 1.5 tons. Claimed 0 to 100 kilometers per hour time is 10.9 seconds. I checked and I got 11.5 seconds. When in hybrid mode on longer journeys, fuel consumption is around 9 liters per 100 kilometers. So before you buy a PHEV, calculate your daily trips and think about charging opportunities. The Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross has permanent all-wheel drive on snow-covered tarmac. The car feels very stable indeed, but let's see how the super all-wheel control system can cope with my diagonal approach test. Now, I stop halfway intentionally to have two wheels diagonally lose traction, and then I try to get going again. And the Eclipse Cross PHEV has several all-wheel drive modes, So there is snow, gravel and whatever else, and none of them seems to help in this situation. So I tried disabling ESP and that also yielded no results. So the all-wheel drive system is good on a flat tarmac, but it's not designed for more complicated obstacles. The Eclipse Cross is a commuter car, and even stock footage shows it's not a performance machine. The suspension is adequate 80% of the time, but when you hit something more complicated, then you'll hear a thud from the suspension. Visibility is okay, regardless of the new tailgate, which reminds me, this is a facelift, so what's changed? Okay, now, I didn't complain about visibility in the pre-facelift model, even though it had this split rear window. The problem was relatively shallow boot, and taller objects, you know, they would kind of wedge against the tailgate and you couldn't close it. I'm not sure whether the new tailgate has a slightly different shape, or maybe the seats are now moved a bit forward, but the boot seems more usable. The cargo volume is almost 360 liters to the window line, 328 to the cargo cover. Ditch the cargo cover, fold the rear seats, and the total volume is over 1100 liters. The cargo cover can be stowed above but not below the floor. Under the floor is some storage for charging cables. Now, sorry for the shape the boot is in, but that's nothing compared to other bumps and bruises this car has, and Mitsubishi doesn't mind showing it off to the media. At least you don't need to imagine what a car looks like after 40,000 kilometers of normal use, and it looks terrible. Now, there is good legroom in the back, although you end up with your legs a bit higher due to the batteries in the floor. The backrest angle is adjustable, and the rear seat doesn't slide anymore, but at least there are cup holders in the armrest, because there is an armrest now, and if that proves insufficient, there are also door pockets. The side seats are heated, there's a 12-volt socket in the back, and the door sills are covered by the doors. Changes in the front are mainly the new screen and a simpler infotainment interface. The menu still looks like from an early DVD, but at least now it's easier to find the settings you're looking for. And there is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Mitsubishi also got rid of the touchpad, which was next to the gear selector, and now everything is on the screen. The AC controls, the AC knobs actually are back. Bring back the knobs! There are also large door pockets, decent cup holders, and also good-sized storage under the armrest and decent-sized glove box. Small changes, but generally speaking in the right direction. Outside changes beside the tailgate I mentioned earlier are mainly cosmetic in the front. And by the way, I like the way the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross looks, even though the plug-in hybrid powertrain seems to be, at least in my opinion, an expensive add-on that nobody asked for. How expensive? Now, the price of the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross PHEV started 40,000 euro, but with options, this car costs 48,000, and that's pretty much Cupra Formentor territory. And how do you like the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross PHEV? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth, and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.